Hello everyone, welcome back to yet another political episode. So we're back, and as you can see, our electoral college has changed because, as usual, the Wikipedia has found some way to sneak in some extra polls, and I did hear about this, that there was, what's this? This is Nevada, but there was a new poll that dropped in Michigan that showed Kamala Harris winning in said Michigan. She has, of course, she's at she has a 4-point win from the worst polling group in history, and that's Quinnipiac University. Likelihood that's going to happen? Very unlikely. I do doubt it by a lot that Kamala Harris is going to win Michigan by 4. It's just ridiculous. But I expect the rest of this. You'll see here we got these polls within the margin of out of the margin of error. If these polls were actually counted, that Kamala Harris would lead by a lot. But yes, they weren't counted as a result. It's still a pretty close toss-up here. And for Pennsylvania, they're claiming they did the math wrong. I don't buy it. They clearly stated that Trump won, and now it's at 0.3. I doubt it. I think in upcoming days, like tomorrow, it could possibly very well flip back to Donald Trump. But the point is, Kamala Harris, of course, is falling. Donald Trump has a 60% chance of winning. Oh, yeah, Kamala Harris gained 2.5. Well, the point is, how did last time we looked at this, she was like at 45%. She dipped down 5 points, and she's mainly now going up because of that Quinnipiac poll, that ridiculous Quinnipiac poll. But by the way, that Quinnipiac poll, yeah, people that are predicting she's going to win Michigan. By the way, she's not even leading in Michigan. Donald Trump, of course, is leading, and she rebounded because of that pathetic Michigan poll that everyone is so happy about. No, the Quinnipiac has always been inaccurate, and she's not going to win it by 4. Let's not get second guess ourselves. But this is what it's looking like so far. Donald Trump is still leading in regards to this, and he's still winning. We got, let's see, I just want to take a look at the opinion. Yeah, Donald Trump is at Kamala Harris leading by 1.7. Yes, you'll see it's getting closer and real clear, which is more accurate. They filter out all the inaccurate polls. Yes, Donald Trump's still carrying every swing state. But national, guys, this is huge. Kamala Harris is leading by 0.2. This is insane. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are neck and neck. Donald Trump is about to take the average for the first time since August. This is going to be insane, and everyone gets ha over the Michigan polls. And we obviously know the Michigan poll is nothing. It's just one pathetic poll. One poll. The Democrats are second-guessing themselves. They're getting excited over nothing, and as a result, they are losing a lot. We know they're losing because not only is Kamala Harris moving money in and out of states, because, of course, I don't know why we have the map of Montana on there, but not only is she moving money in and out of states, but, yeah, she has her little pundit friends from, as you know, little pundit friends from MSNBC, and we're going to enter the lion's den today because we're going to be looking at some fake news stories, and it involves 2 stories that the liberal media have completely fabricated. One story is about a Donald Trump possibly, as you know, paying for the funeral of a Hispanic and then saying he won't pay for it because she is Hispanic. But I can tell you right then and there, that's not true because, number one, the story has been debunked by the family of the said of the fallen soldier. They have actually accused Democrats of actually using this story to get votes, and honestly, they are. And they are straight out being disrespectful. So, yes, let's go ahead. This is going to be a pretty long video. I won't say long, but yes, we're also going to be doing a reaction to what the insane people really think about these said clips. But let's see. Let's take a look at the said first one. MSNBC is up. And this is Joyless Greed, and I like to call her Joyless Greed, but you know what I mean, Joy Reid. She looks friendly, but really, when she starts talking, she's just nasty and toxic. But yes, let's check on Joy Greid from BSDNC.
But the most disgusting allegation, which his team denies,
of course,
is that Trump offered to pay for the funeral of specialist Vanessa Guillen, who was bludgeoned to death by a fellow soldier at Fort Hood in Texas. It took 3 months to find her remains. For months, activists, politicians, and specialist Guillen's family called for an investigation into the Army base. The Secretary of the Army, Ryan McCarthy, ordered an investigation into Fort Hood's command culture. The investigation led to the firing of dozens of people. In a press conference, McCarthy said that the murder shocked our conscience. The Atlantic reported that Trump didn't like that. He was agitated by McCarthy's comments and raised questions about the severity of the punishment.
I'm going to stop right here because this is the Atlantic also sponsoring, MSNBC is sponsoring the Atlantic and their Trump derangement because Trump saying, I need the kind of generals that Hitler had. Do you have actual proof and evidence of that? These are closed-door allegations. And you know when you have closed-door allegations where you don't really have enough evidence to actually point out and actually clarify that that was true or not, this is not going to get much attention. Do you have actual sources and evidence that Donald Trump actually said, I need the kind of generals that Hitler had? And if he did, who cares? Who cares? Like, seriously, who cares? Oh, Hitler, bad. Well, here's the funny thing. I'll probably go through this in a little bit, but we could talk about Tim Walz and his Mao Zedong allegations. Same people, right? What difference is Adolf Hitler and Mao Zedong? They both did the same thing. They're just ideologically different. Now, continuing on with this pathetic story, which really shouldn't make making news, MSNBC is just taking stories out of context, and they're doing this because they know Kamala Harris is losing. She is losing super badly, and as you know, they're working with her, right? They want her to win. So they're going to do what they did before. They're going to create stupid stories about Donald Trump saying comments that have been taken out of context, or they haven't been even said at all, and they're just writing a script.
Dispensed to senior officers and non-commissioned officers. Publicly, he offered to pay for the funeral services of Specialist Guillen. But it's what he allegedly said privately when he found out what it cost that will disgust you. According to Goldberg, who spoke with attendees and saw contemporaneous notes of the meeting, Trump became angry and shouted, quote, "It doesn't cost $60,000 to bury an effing Mexican." He turned to his chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and issued an order. Don't pay it. Later that day, he was still agitated. Can you believe it, he said, according to a witness, effing people trying to rip me off.
Okay, this is just pathetic. Okay, let's touch base here. So, as Joyless Greed just told us the fantasy story that actually wasn't true, by the way, I keep mentioning that. I honestly don't need to mention it. It's just ridiculous. Because, come on, Donald Trump doesn't care what skin color you are. Donald Trump cares if you love your country. If you don't love your country, Donald Trump has a problem with you. Okay? If you take your country for granted, Donald Trump has a problem with you. He doesn't care about what skin color you have. Because Donald Trump doesn't go down on his knees and worships the ultra wokeness of this country. That means he must be a racist. No, it's called common sense. Come on. This is ridiculous. So we have this up here. I don't even know why they decided to throw this story up here, the Hitler allegations. It's just stupid. And yeah, you have Kamala Harris. They're trying to give Kamala Harris something to run her mouth on. I've seen already a video already of Kamala Harris in her campaign commenting about these so-called comments about Hitler. We're going to talk about more about those comments and actually discuss what those actually mean and if they actually were true. So, yes, this is absolute. You know what? Yeah, this isn't anything new. I mean, you can be upset about it, but then again, being upset about it does nothing because it'll just happen again. It's just a waste of time. This is MSNBC. But to be honest, CNN isn't going to be anything different. Let's see what they have to say about this Hitler joke thing.
He commented more than once that, that Hitler did some good things too. And of course, if you know history, again, I think he's lacking in that. But if you know what Hitler was all about, it'd be pretty hard to make an argument that he did anything good.
So what would you say when he said to you that Hitler did a lot of good things?
Well, I tell him that. I said, sir, first of all, you should never say that. But if you knew what Hitler was all about from the beginning to the end, everything he did was in support of his racist, fascist life, philosophy, so that nothing he did you could argue was good. It was certainly not done for the right reason. And but he would occasionally say that.
What would he say when you would lay that out to him?
He just, that'd be the end of the conversation usually.
John Kelly saying that he had to explain to Donald Trump why Hitler was bad.
Okay, that's just, okay, yeah. I don't know what your name is, Caitlin. She used to be a Republican, which is funny. So, John Kelly, obviously, is a Republican that jumped ship to eat his cake with the Democrats. Obviously. Because you realize if John Kelly was so outraged, and I've said this in a previous video too, during the Kamala Harris interview, if these Republicans were so outraged and so horrified by Trump, they jump ship immediately. But right when Trump leaves office, that's when they start opening their mouths. So really, they don't care. They can care less. They're doing this so they can fix their reputation. Because they are paranoid. They don't want to be prosecuted. John Kelly doesn't want to be prosecuted. You take a look at our corrupt Department of Justice. Corrupt. All these former Republicans are coming out and saying, I denounce this, the blah, blah, blah. I'm voting for Kamala Harris. Oh, okay, we won't go after you. These people know more than ever. More than nobody else. That the DOJ is corrupt. That the Democrats are corrupt. They are scared. And you got John Kelly going to liberal CNN talking about a story that's not even true. And here's the funny thing. Guys. If Donald Trump said Hitler did some good things too, okay. Like, I'm having a hard time understanding the inferiority of that. It's like the outrage that CNN threw a huge tantrum about when Donald Trump said that Putin is very smart. Which is a fact. It absolutely is. Because if Putin was dumb and stupid, the war of Ukraine would have been a failure. And they say it is, but it's not. It's ongoing. It's still ongoing. Putin is smart. Because this guy got 80% of the popular vote in the Russian presidential election. Because he's brainwashed his own people. You got to be a smart guy to manipulate your own people. How about, so you're just denying facts, and you're thinking, and you know what they're doing. CNN knows that Putin is smart. They're just trying to use this against Trump. And now we're using a comment that, we don't even know with any facts or evidence. You got John Kelly, who is a whistleblower, or in this case, a witness. But how do you know that John Kelly is actually telling the truth, not trying to save his butt or save his ass, in other blunt terms? How do you know he's not trying to do that? He's clearly doing that. He has no evidence to back that up. Let's go back to Tim Walz. I think Tim Walz should, if this is so infuriating, you should hold Tim Walz accountable. Let's give it to Trump. At least he doesn't own Mein Kampf. Okay? But you know what Tim Walz owns? He has a copy in his governor's mansion in St. Paul. The book. The Little Red Book. What's the Little Red Book? That's Mao Zedong's book, where he goes into emphasis of the ideals of the Chinese Cultural Revolution. This book sold everywhere. Millions of people in China either had to own this book. It's like the Bible. It's basically the as you know, the religious text or the religious book of the Mao Zedong faith. This is as you know, the Little Red Book of Mao Zedong. And yes, it goes over the Cultural Revolution, the ideas of a Cultural Revolution, all that stuff. Out of the millions of people that own it is Tim Walz, who was a teacher in China. And there's no doubt about it that it's not his fault, technically, that he had to teach Mao Zedong thought in China, because that's the curriculum. I think he would get arrested or for actually not teaching Mao Zedong thought in China. So he didn't have a choice, but he absolutely did have a choice of where he could teach. For some stupid reason, Tim Walz is so fascinated with China. He is fascinated with the society. He claims it's a culture thing. I think it's more than just that. He's gone on he has gone on with its society, right? It's society. I think Tim Walz is fascinated on how the government controls its own people. Which, come to think of it, Tim Walz in Minnesota, I can speak, obviously, because I'm living under his regime. Tim Walz under Minnesota basically does the same thing. He forces us, he cancels, of course, during COVID, we had to wear masks. We could be confronted by the police if we weren't wearing masks in business places. Heck, in some circumstances, people were arrested when leaving the house when they had COVID. Or even when their period, consciously speaking, was over. What I mean by period is their time, where technically you are contagious or infected by the coronavirus. That's over. It should be gone by now. You leave the house. But then you get arrested. This is absolutely infuriating. Tim Walz, not only that, but his lack of concern for human life in the cities. Like, you got the homeless everywhere. Everywhere. They put their tents all over the cities. You also got crime. Heck, I mean, we have one circumstance, a kid, I don't know if this was a boy or a girl, was shot in the head after a bullet flew through her window and hit her in the head while she was doing her homework in her room. This is in Minneapolis. So you can still get killed in your own home by a magic bullet. That bullet was actually a bullet that was used in a gang fight. She happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Gang fight near her house between one guy and another. That bullet ended up missing the guy, and it went past him, and it hit her in the head. I'm going to say it's a her. And she died instantly. It's just sad. And no, it's not because of guns. Come on. It's not because of guns, because guns don't have a brain. We like to believe that guns mind control people. They like to think it's some sort of psychological thing about having a gun and having power. No! It's about mental illness. Because we have the police walk around with guns and they're just fine. They don't go around shooting people because, they're psychologically going insane because they have a gun in their hands. It's just stupid. This theory that the Democrats are creating. No, Democrats, they don't want to fix the crime situation because I don't know why. It's either they want those criminals to vote for them or they just want to push a woke agenda. But here's the thing. They go blaming it on guns. It works because you got stupid gun-deranged activists that want to take away and abolish the Second Amendment. You got that all over. And while the real problem is mental health, crime, why aren't we expanding mental health facilities? Why aren't we cracking down on criminals? Why aren't we taking them off the streets? Why do we have so many gangs? So you get what I'm saying. So, yeah, I branched off topic. We were originally talking about Hitler, and I compared this sort of scenario with Mao Zedong. This is absolute. We know for a fact that Tim Walz has a book of Mao Zedong. He doesn't even have to have his book. We know he went to China. He went to China and he spent, I don't know how many years there. He spent a long time in China. Working practically for the government, actually. I mean, how isn't he not working for the government? He's expanding the Chinese Cultural Revolution agenda. He's being a teacher working on behalf of the Mao Zedong thought and teaching the Chinese kids about Mao Zedong, who, by the way, who did really horrible things. You want to think, everyone goes around and says how bad Hitler is. We don't talk about these other guys. Mao Zedong was the number one guy who killed the most people. The most people. He was brutal. He buried his opponents alive. And it's just because Hitler is a right-wing fascist. That's why we have these progressives going off. It's easy to find something that the right is talking about and coordinate it with Hitler. Because Hitler, in some ways, has the same views as the right. Duh! He's a right-wing dictator. So, ideally, conservatives are going to have similar positions. But that's expected. Well, I could go as far as saying progressives and liberals have the same positions as murderer Mao Zedong and Joseph Stalin. There are more murderous dictators who have committed heinous crimes. The one responsible for the Cambodian genocide, Pol Pot, we totally forgot about him. He actually got to live and die a normal life. He committed a genocide. A genocide. Thousands of Cambodians died, and were AKA his political opponents. He died a normal life. He wasn't executed. He wasn't imprisoned. I think he was sent by exile by China after China invaded and overthrew him. But overall, I think he lived and died. Died a normal life. Nothing wrong. But the point is, Donald Trump says something that, you know what, is controversial. We don't even know if he said it. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to react soon to these voters. Because these voters and these everyday, normal, sane Americans do not care. They really do not care. If Donald Trump says something, did some good things too. Oh, whatever. Oh, okay. I mean, it's your opinion. I think it's wrong. I disagree with you, obviously. I don't think Hitler did anything good. Hitler is a really bad guy. But you're not, and this is an attempt, like, why would I vote against you because of this stupid comment? This is disparity, guys. Disparity. The CNN, working for Kamala Harris, they're trying to run these stories. They got the Trump chief of staff confirming that Trump said this outrageous thing. Like, okay, even if he did or not, it really doesn't matter. If he did, okay. Why would people go out and vote against him because of that stupid comment? You must really be Trump deranged. And probably, if you are voting against him about this stupid comment, you're probably in the bag for Democrats anyway. You're going to vote for Trump anyway. Vote against Trump anyway. So let's continue on with this outrageous allegation.
Everything he did was in support of his racist, fascist life, philosophy, so that nothing he did you could argue was good. It was certainly not done for the right reason. And but he would occasionally say that.
What would he say when you would lay that out to him?
I think we already. Yes, we already did this. But yes, we're going to go ahead and react to MSNBS-DNC. And keep in mind, this is before all these stupid allegations. I think these allegations were going on at the same time. Possibly. I don't know. But is it anything different? Doesn't even matter because BS-DNC runs these stories all the time. They've run a story trying to say that Trump wants a fourth Reich. Really? They took a Trump ad and tried to imply in some way, like they took a magnifying glass and told us, oh, you see right here? This is what he means. He's trying to imply a fourth Reich. Oh, no! Like, come on. And obviously that didn't work. That didn't work because, yeah, it didn't work. So let's continue. And you're going to tell you that these everyday normal Americans just totally block off at BS-DNC and pretend it doesn't even exist. Yeah, these are everyday normal Americans that don't, they pay attention, but they don't obsess about Trump. These are normal people. Let's take a look at this first guy, which I actually found to be very interesting.
Talk to me about your level of interest in the criminal charges and so forth.
February 6th.
See, he called... Okay, February 6th. Oh, okay, what happened on February 6th? And then she goes and corrects him.
January 6th.
Oh, it was January 6th. This is ridiculous. If someone that really cared and about the January 6th insurrection, remember this day for eternity, you would remember the date exactly. This guy got it wrong. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him. This guy can care less. I can care less too. Because, I mean, looting the Capitol was wrong, but we have zero evidence this was done with political motivation. This was not a coup. This was an event that went chaotic. An event that turned into chaos. Okay? Like, when did the left do things that are chaotic? Oh, all the time. Like, that one time, less than a year ago, where they took over the university. You know, I get that's not a government building, but they took over a building, didn't they not? They occupy the building. We care less about it. Like, go back for 4 years ago, or less than a year of the insurrection, we have leftists burning down buildings, rioting, looting because of BLM. They're BLM riots. They care less about it. Instead, they kneel with the protesters. They sympathize with the protesters. Fast forward to 2022, we have Roe v. Wade riots. They're looting the Arizona, well, I wouldn't say looting the Arizona Capitol, but they were very close to the Arizona state capitol, where they had throwing projectiles at police. Whoa, that's pretty. You could go ahead and say that's an they're trying to insurrect. You could go as we know what the Democrats would say if these were Republicans. If these were Republicans, it would be like they're trying to storm the Capitol again. No, well, here's the thing: these people are on their side, though. The media is on their side. Go all the way back to 2017, Inauguration Day. We had the leftists, deranged TDS people, gathering up on Trump's Inauguration Day. They are clashing with the police. So you get what this guy's saying. This guy is a guy, obviously, who's not focused in on politics. He's not influenced by politics. That's not his life. His life is basically being successful. This is obviously a union worker. He is a worker trying to get money on the table. He will vote. He's open-minded. He will vote for anyone that will help him and his family succeed. This is what it's supposed to be. No identity politics. But this guy got it wrong. He said February 6th, meaning that, this event didn't really sink in that well with him. And if you got this guy saying it, and most people will probably go January 7th, January 20th. What was that? Well, if you listen to the news, the liberal news, because that's what it's owned by, they clearly say January 6th. They go over it all the time. But yeah, it's bone chilling for MSNBC because they're realizing that all their rants aren't sinking into the average day, everyday people, and that's what they want.
So I remember that day. I know
he remembers it, but let's go on and see what he has to say.
The standing president. I'm not familiar with the charges that are being brought against him for that. I'm not following that charge there's multiple court cases going on. I'm just not familiar with it.
I mean,
why should we follow it? Like, I know it's our president. We should kind of follow it, but we know why the charges are being placed on him. It's because of political purposes, right? They don't want this guy to come back. And this girl, she's going to get so upset.
that doesn't sound like it's going to be a factor in deciding who to vote for.
No.
Yeah, why would it? I mean, union worker. He's concerned about putting food on the plate for his family. But, one of the people led a protest at the Capitol, and it got chaotic. Insurrection! Should that really stop you from voting for that day? I mean, here's the thing. The Democrats go and say, love yourself more. You gotta love yourself more. You're lacking love for yourself. Go and vote Democrat. Well, here's the thing they don't understand, though. This is no one. Everyone needs to take advantage of voting. Everyone. And if you make guilt trip like Barack Obama is doing with African American men to be exact, about voting for Sister Kamala Harris and giving accusations, saying you're a bigot, you're sexist, you're misogynist if you don't. No. I'm sorry, Mr. President, you don't get to do that, because every American, him or her, has a right to go to the ballot box and reflect on his or her life and figure out and choose a candidate who will help not Uncle Sam or not this person who lives across the street who happens to be a person of color. No. It's going to sound selfish. But you vote on what will help you succeed. That's how it's always been. And you don't vote due to race. This is identity politics. You vote common sense wise. And this is what this guy's doing, and I'm impressed because obviously he didn't state who he wanted to vote for. But you can tell, obviously, that politics, Trump, is not his number one concern. This is a normal, everyday American. You don't have people like the TDS people who you go on Facebook and go on your friend who's a TDS person. All you see is Trump hate all over. You know there's something mentally ill with them. But this guy's a normal guy. Let's continue.
No.
Okay, so when I say January 6th, what do you think?
Oh, I just remember seeing it on the news, like all the riots and stuff. Don't really know what it was about or what happened.
See, he didn't even know what it was about. Like, oh, people are rioting. Like, this is what everyone was thinking. Here's the funny thing. If you really cared, you would try to learn more about it. Did he care? No, he didn't. He was like, oh, what's new? What else is new? Another riot. I mean, how many riots have we experienced? The only difference between January 6th and all the other riots was this was the only riot that was done by the right. The only one. The right actually has a really good track record of keeping riots, not doing riots. The left, on the other hand, has a riot problem. They have a violence problem. They have a temper problem. And this guy, as you know, he is like, if this happened one time, I can see this guy and all the other guys being more interested. What's this? But this is so every day. Crime. Every day. Okay, riot. Okay. But it's at the Capitol, though. Okay, we know the United States, these people aren't going to overthrow the Capitol. Come on. They're going to try to. They keep talking about this like they actually had a chance. They didn't stand a chance at all. They weren't even trying to. They weren't even trying to. They were taking out their anger. Some were agents of chaos. They weren't even trying to overthrow the. They claim that they were trying to overthrow the government. No, they're not. They went in and they intended to cause chaos. That was January 6th. Some did. Others just were clashing with the police or throwing stuff and hitting stuff or just being agents of chaos. But yes, you can obviously tell this is like, oh, okay.
No.
How did it make you feel when you saw it?
Well, why do you care? I know, because it made me feel horrible. Mainly because this was my affiliation. I affiliate with these group people, and it made me feel horrible. It was the worst day to be alive. And it makes me angry when we have Democrats talk about it, because it was a horrible day for Americans and their youth and families. I'm glad we have this person who, honestly, I could tell he probably knows some people that love Trump on the other side, and he wants to still be friends with them. His relationship's not going to break.
I don't know. I don't really feel any way about it. People showed their emotion, I guess. Probably in the wrong way, but...
Yeah. I mean, guess what? You have thousands of people. Different thousands of personalities. You're telling me not one is it going to be an agent of chaos in a political event? Come on.
It happened.
A few moments later.
And I just wonder for anybody who heard that, like what they thought of that.
So this is in regards to Barack Obama in his proclamation to black men. Tell them to go out and vote for your sister, Kamala Harris. And the black men here are not going to be too happy with Barack.
Deeply offended. I was deeply offended. And it felt like a moment where it's like, you N-words better get in line and do what we say. And it felt like him as the czar of the Democratic Party coming down to say, go get these N-words in line. And the general tone of it was disgusting. It was abhorrent. I don't respect it. I didn't like nothing about it.
So you get what I'm saying. Yeah, this guy obviously is not saying, like, yeah, why would you not be offended? I mean, the Democrats want to be offended by everything, but if it's their own guy saying things offensive, they don't be offended. They're like, oh, he's trying to be a leader. No. I think he should mind his own business. Like Tim Walz always likes to say, mind your own business, right? Mind your own business. It's not your concern. I know you want to win, Brock. I know you want your sister Kamala Harris up there. But it's not your purpose, because if you really cared about democracy, you wouldn't be propping yourself on a stage and threatening your other peoples of the community and threatening and calling them names like bigots, misogynists. This is a so-called democracy you claim we live in. Well, apparently, it's not when Democrats are in huge jeopardy in losing. Then, okay, we're gonna have to bend democracy a little bit. You guys better do this or this or this. Better go vote for your sister Kamala Harris, or you're a misogynistic, racist, sexist. Doesn't matter if you're black or not. It really doesn't. And it doesn't really work, obviously, because this was a week ago, has the black support for Donald Trump went down? No. I mean, I would argue in some ways it has only increased. But because we got more voters.
I agree with the idea of mass deportation, largely.
So this is about mass deportation. The topic that the Democrats are so mad about. They're saying it's racist. It's one of the most racist things about Donald Trump. He wants to deport illegal aliens. Well, here's the thing. This voter is going to explain why mass deportation is important and why he thinks it's necessary. So we'll go into that.
Criminals in this country who are destroying our nation. They're coming in here, getting earmarked bills and policies to open up businesses, get free housing, get access, easier access than those who are legally immigrated to this country to welfare and other benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, as a taxpayer, we have to pay for these guys to have luxuries of life, and we don't get anything. Mm-hmm. Especially black Americans who've suffered so much in the system under Democrats. We don't get anything. That's insane. You talk about Springfield, Ohio.
Or he's going to go on that too, but he's right. Absolutely. And he said a lot of words that if Trump was here in front of this lady right here, they would be going nuts and saying racism, sexism, blah, 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 blah. You called them criminals. You just said that you want them to be deported. Well, this guy right here said he supports those deportations, and he listed the reasons. They're taking the jobs, obviously, and then they create the black job thing. It's just so stupid. They're desperate, guys. They are desperate. They take every word Donald Trump says out of his mouth, and they all the time turn it into a huge story. And this huge story shouldn't even be a story. Why are we listening to these stories? Why? It's ridiculous. But he's going to go on Springfield, Ohio, and this correlates with our news, two stories regarding Hitler and this fallen soldier, about these, which are two stories about backdoor allegations, closed door allegations of what Donald Trump said behind closed doors. In many ways, these two have been debunked. But even if they were true, this is what the average voter, and I guess this is a Republican registered voter, but then again, we've seen a lot of, we're going to take a look at other said voters that are actually progressives and they're voting for Trump. And they're not, they can care less about his comments made towards groups. Okay? This is what this guy has to say with the Springfield, Ohio comment.
And the whole thing with the fluff talk of grabbing a soundbite about Haitians or whatever is eating cats and dogs. Y'all trying to change the narrative of what he's really talking about.
Exactly. Duh. I mean, I admit it. I think Donald Trump should have not said they're eating cats and dogs. I think it wasn't racist. I think Donald Trump was trying to express, I think I've seen clips and videos in some parts of the country. There are some communities, and not majority of communities, isn't like a mass spread thing, where there's a community here and there that you find one person that might eat a dog, or someone that might be eating a cat. And Donald Trump's not saying that to be racist. He's saying, look, these people are obviously, we cannot give food to them where they're resorting to eating cats and dogs. There's a huge problem. This is what the Democrats have caused. Why are we not fixing this? Why isn't the Biden administration fixing this? We can't just give food to them, okay? First off, I think we need to send them back to their country where they can get food. I mean, we could give them money. But spending up taxes so we can give them food, that's not going to do anything. And then you see part of some of the communities, I talked about this in New York. I would say in the New York story 6 months ago, they were given a bowl of spaghetti. They threw it to the ground. They didn't want it. They wanted something else. So you really must not be hungry. And that's not really how, why are we giving them food anyway? They throw it to the ground and shows me, well, wow, you're not hungry. Then why are you here? So yes, obviously, the Democrats are using the cats and dogs statement as a shield, as a distraction from the issue that is ultimately going to be the issue why they're going to lose in November. Immigration. Majority of the country, every state believes mass immigration, mass deportation is necessary. It is necessary. Deportation is a tool that our country has always had, and the only problem is we have not been using that tool enough. And I think a lot of our country is waking up and said, hey, you know what? The tool has been established by our founding fathers, therefore constitutional, right? We need to deport them. They want us to go on our knees and cry for these illegal immigrants. Well, I will admit, yes, we can have some emotion, but then again, that's the right thing to do. Send them back. Because the law is the law. No one is above the law. Even in emotional circumstances, you have to obey the law. You have these individuals, these illegal immigrants, breaking the law by coming into the country. Newsflash. You would be arrested, and in better case, you would be sent back, right? Sent back to your country. It's either that or we jail you for years. Your choice. You broke the law. You ought to be punished. You broke the law. So let's continue on.
Change the narrative of really what we're talking about and telling us that's what we should be discussing. No, this is what we're discussing.
Yep.
This is America. And this is what America is about and what we're discussing.
Yeah, I like that guy. This guy, obviously, I absolutely think he's amazing. But let's go on and take a look at what these voters have to say.
Let me start with the women here about Kamala Harris.
She's a woman of color. I'm not putting her down because of that, and I'm not putting her down because she's a woman. I'm not a feminist, so I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, I don't think that she has the personality. I don't think that she has what it takes to go up against Putin and go.
Yeah, I think so too, because you took a look at that interview, you got Kamala Harris getting all flustered, rolling her eyes, and acting all childish in the interview. And heck, that is the reason why she's not doing so well. She's getting all mad and angry because an American, someone that's not a threat, has different opinion, not a politician. Brett Barr from Fox News was actually doing his job and asking her tough questions. Now imagine Kamala Harris trying to stop the war in Ukraine. Do you think Putin is going to listen to Kamala Harris? Well, I'll give it to Brett Barr. He eventually stopped and said, okay, you finish up, Madam Vice President. Putin's not going to do that. You don't get to tell Putin what to do. And all this is going to be a flustered Karen walking out of the Swiss embassy. I don't know, like, out of the United Nations in Brussels or Geneva, wherever it's located. This is going to be the Karen of the world. Here comes Karen, all flustered and mad, rolling her eyes at everyone. Really? How is that being a strong woman? So this woman's absolutely right. How are you going to stand up against Putin? So let's continue.
Against these other presidents that are built for this. I don't want to be scared because my president is scared. I want my president to feel secure and manly and about it.
Yeah, like Trump, because he went to North Korea, he met Kim Jong-un. No other president in the U.S. got to do that. Donald Trump, first president and only president to cross the demilitarized zone and actually meet a North Korean leader face to face. And he was strong. And we have, in circumstances where Donald Trump was firm, even with his allies, like in Mexico and in France. So I'm going to keep going because it's getting long.
Gender, right?
Okay, like, why does this have to do with gender? Why? Look, this is MSNBC. I mean, we're not surprised. Continue, lady.
I think it matters that she's a woman and people aren't comfortable having a woman in a top leadership role.
No, I don't.
Yeah, see, they're like, no.
Because most men, they love their mothers. They love their wives. So as a woman, most men, they respect the woman. But she just don't have the qualification or the education to really run America. Because she don't have the experience.
Yeah, and I voted for women, guys. I did vote for a few women. I voted for, what's her name? Miss Crockett, for Secretary of State in Minnesota. Kim Crockett. Amazing lady. I got to meet her face to face. She is amazing. Absolutely. I'm a good fan of hers. I voted for her. Not because she's a woman. I voted for her because of her policies. And guess what? All the Democrats, they didn't vote for Kim Crockett. They actually treated Kim Crockett like garbage. Garbage. They made up lies about her. Same thing what they did to Trump. Are you surprised? No, because he's a Republican. She's a Republican. It doesn't have to do with gender. And I voted against her white male opponent. The only difference between this white male opponent, Steve Simon, he's Jewish, but really, the Democrats hate Jews. So what does that matter? The woke card of being a Jew was taken away. So, yeah, I voted for a woman. I had no problems voting for a woman. I said a lot of things about campaigns being feminist. Here's the thing about Kim Crockett's Secretary of State campaign. It was not feminized. Then again, she didn't campaign about being a woman. This is the difference between Republican woman and Democrat woman. Democrat women always campaign on their gender. I'm going to be the first woman this. I'm going to be the first woman. It's going to be an honor. No, we can care less. We can honestly care less because it's just feminizing, and you shouldn't. You're hurting your base. You're feminizing your movement then. Because you're setting a goal. You're getting women excited. You're not getting men excited. You're getting women excited. And you need to try to avoid that. You gotta focus on policy. And that's why I voted for Kim Crockett. Because I loved her policy because she believed in voter ID in the state of Minnesota. I want voter ID in the state of Minnesota. I strongly believed in that, so I voted for her. Against Steve Simon, who believes in the exact opposite. So let's continue on.
You don't understand our struggles. And for me to believe you for another 4 years, you're crazy. Right. Like, you're crazy. You're saying the same thing that you said 4 years ago.
So the fact that she's the vice president,
that's
to
just
you
the
is
bottom line.
You're like, you've been here, you've had a chance.
Yes. Well, for me, the very first time I ever heard the name Kamala Harris, it was in association to locking up parents for truancy.
So yeah, she's already getting a negative registration, negative reputation. Otherwise, it's either you hear about her for the first time because of the fake news, or you hear about her for the first time because of criticisms that's spreading around. That, especially with Kamala Harris's radical position on oppressing parents.
That was the first time I ever heard of her name. And I really didn't understand how this person claims to be a black woman, but yet she's locking up black women and black men and separating families.
And you're expecting them to go vote for you? Vote for the sister? No way! No way! You're locking up these people for smoking marijuana. And then we turn around and you're suddenly smoking marijuana. Because you're the district attorney, that doesn't matter. Then suddenly you're a dictator. You're a dictator, and that's exactly what Kamala Harris is. The dictator of San Francisco at one point.
This is a thing that is, Trump talks about this a lot. He says, Kamala Harris became black.
Oh, here we go again. And let's actually look at, I'm impressed by their reactions because they are going to, you know what they're going to say.
Right. When it was convenient.
Right. Yeah.
Can you talk to me about, do you agree with him on that? Do you feel like she's wearing her blackness?
Absolutely. She's sworn into the Senate, it was as the first Indian American, which is, it's fine. We don't care.
Yeah, I can care less. I mean, God made Kamala Harris, whatever she was racially. I can care less what Kamala Harris is, personally. And if she is Jamaican American, I can care less. If she has a little bit of black in her, care less either. But she is using her identity, obviously, as a campaign tool to appeal to other groups. Not just because of accents. She sworn in Senate as first Indian lady. Now she's running for president as the first black woman. Why is she doing that? Because Trump is taking black women. Not just black women, but black men. So she needs to run as a black woman now. And these voters here, they feel used. They feel offended. They feel hurt. Because they don't like it. The idea that they are being expected to vote for this lady because of race. So very interesting.
We all know she's not black. Let's understand that. We are all clear of that. But my point of view, like I told you earlier, she's already been there. She's in office right now.
I get it. Yeah, she's already in vice president. Congratulations, first black woman vice president. Okay, what else you want? What? This is like chapter 2. I mean, whatever. Are we gonna get? You get excited for reading the book. Okay, chapter 1. Okay, chapter 2. Like the excitement goes down. It eventually goes down. And yeah. So, yeah, she's in office right now. She could say she's president because Joe Biden certainly isn't making decisions. This is Kamala Harris's job, and everyone knows how incompetent Joe Biden is. We're not dumb, okay? Joe Biden, okay? Lots of help and lots of decisions. So congratulations. Kamala Harris had a lot to do with everything that's going on right now. So now we're actually going to talk about the Arab Americans because, as you know, Arab Americans are leaving at mass. And because of a woke issue, I'll be honest with you, these a lot of them are voting because of the Palestine issue. And we're going to and they're voting for Trump, someone who supports Israel, someone who moved the embassy to Jerusalem. And they're voting for Trump. Why? Because they are actually voting on policy, not on comments. They care less about comments. They're going to vote on policy. And we're going to actually take a look at that. And we'll call it quits.
The students here are first and second generation immigrants, and overwhelmingly Arab American. The teachers are too. They call him Mr. Gus. Hassan Shahab is a pillar of this place, Palestinian by birth, American now to the core, and Trump is his man.
I think Trump is not a politician. He is just a regular person. It happens that he's a billionaire or a millionaire, whatever it is. But he has morals. I'm a conservative. All Middle Eastern people are conservative. Christians and Muslims, we are conservative people.
In his last presidency, many would see him as trampling on Palestinian rights.
So he's pro-Palestine. And I mean, expectationally, because he's from Palestine, he said he was he's Palestine by birth. He was born in Palestine, and maybe he's not pro-Palestine, maybe by the genocide and all that stuff, where we have all these woke people that don't even have connections with Palestine. They jump into the conflict. I'm just a good person. I want to stop the genocide. Like, this is not your fight. But this guy's born in Palestine. He's born Palestinian. So expectationally, he's going to feel loyalty to Palestine. So I'm not surprised we have a flag here. But then again, he's up with the American flag. That shows friendship and unity, and shows that he doesn't want Palestine to turn on the U.S. like the woke mob wants, right? He wants friendship with the state of Palestine and the United States, and hopefully we will. But then again, let's see what he has to say.
The embassy to Jerusalem. He hasn't endorsed an arms embargo. I wonder how that fits with your history and your views.
Give me one president who did.
Yeah, give me one president. No one. I mean, these people are smart. Let's see what
2016.
So now this is a progressive leftist. She's pro Bernie Sanders, and now she's got, I wouldn't say more far left, but yes, she is voting based on the genocide. You don't want to know who she's voting for? Let's find out.
I voted for Hillary Clinton.
2020?
I wrote in Bernie Sanders' name in the general.
And 2024?
I'm voting for Trump.
Boom! Why is she voting for Trump? The liberals are scratching their head. This is Sky News, by the way. Sky News is pretty conservative, so obviously they're not fabricating, and they're basically in Australia. But
wow, policy-wise, I don't like any of the Republican policies, to be frank, at all. I don't think I agree with a single thing.
Yet you'll still vote for him.
I will still vote for him.
Yeah, she's still voting because there's this one important issue.
Because one thing I hate more than all those other policies is genocide.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not that she likes Trump. She does not like Trump, but she's voting for him because she has trust in Trump that he's going to end the war. Because the truth is, Donald Trump ended wars. Donald Trump ended the conflicts. Donald Trump ended the genocides. And she's putting her emotions away like a normal human being and saying, hey, look, this isn't... And guess what? Guess what? All respect to these people, you can have your feelings for the genocide. If you want the war in Israel to end, guess what? You can have that belief. I have more respect for you guys that vote based on this conflict. I mean, these people come from Palestine. They are part of the community. So, of course, they're going to have some sort of connection. But these people are going to vote for Trump because they feel, you know what, we just want the war to end. We just want the killing to stop. And if we need to put Trump back in, then so be it. That's the most important thing. Not identity politics, not stupid comments like Donald Trump made, according to MSNBC. It's actually about policy. It's actually about important events. It's actually about goals.
There is no other issue to me of importance or of consequence. None. My children, I came home the day I met Trump, and I gave my son a MAGA hat, and I said, I guess we're there. And he said, ew. His first words to me were, ew. I said, but Baba, he said he's going to stop the war. And he said, okay, that's it. Give me that hat.
And how quickly? I mean, like that. Stop the war? I can't imagine that kid was like, snap, just like a change like that. I think ideally and realistically there was some hesitation. But you get how unified these families are due to this conflict. And how desperate they are and what they want to do. They want the war to end. And they take the hat. They probably don't want to. They probably hesitate. Because I'm all defense of these people, they've been brainwashed. But you can see that there is some sanity left in them. That there's some human awareness left in them. Where they actually can make decisions without the deep state making decisions for them. That is what we want. This is democracy. And I'm very happy to see voters like this woman and many others actually putting their emotions aside and saying, hey, look, I don't really care what Donald Trump thinks about me. I'm still going to vote for him. And to be honest, Donald Trump doesn't care about your race, and I've said that before. He doesn't care about your gender. We know how he treats people with color. We know how he treats people of gender and just the woman in general. He has that personality that can, and like the liberals have taken advantage of that personality as just misogynistic, and that's wrong. But yes,
we're voting for Trump.
Yes,
but the most
and yes, this is exactly what I anticipate. So this includes our analyzation. The liberals are desperate, and it's not working. It never has worked. It worked when Trump was in office because Trump was the one running things, right? He was the guy to blame. But it's going to be different because Trump is not in office right now. Trump is a private U.S. citizen running to be president. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, is in office. So these attacks, if Republicans attack Kamala Harris and rumors go off against her, it's going to work. It's going to work more. It's going to work more. Because she's in office. She's vice president. Donald Trump's not president right now. Donald Trump was the president. But saying Donald Trump's going to do this and this and this, that's not going to get people outraged. No, he's not president. So why should they care? And plus, people went through a Trump presidency already. People know what they got from him. And not everyone, most Americans didn't really enjoy it. This is what polls are saying, approval rating wise. But really, I don't even know what the real numbers are. Because it's just so, Trump's numbers are just so unpredictable. Let's just say he wasn't the biggest popular president that he should have been. But they knew the world wasn't going to end. What is that? Project 2017 didn't take place. It's not, the Project 2025 is not going to start. It's just Trump derangement. Trump bad. It's just Trump bad altogether. And really, yeah, we know that the Democrats are just ultra coping. Left-wing cope altogether. So what do you guys think? Let me know down below. And as always, see you all in the next political episode.